Babble is a virtual reality experience which takes advantage of the new technological channel based around the Babelic myth. Babble is a ceremony of confusion. The user becomes transient of the virtual Tower of Babel. It is a fully immersive experience which uses a head-mounted display. The transient's mobility is controlled through a 3D navigation interface with 6 degrees of freedom. The direction of his viewpoint is controlled through a sensor placed in the head-mounted display. Before entering Babel, the user is given an explanatory leaflet in 13 languages, designed in the fashion of the instructions of an electric appliance. The installation houses the user and allows the public to follow his experience through the monitors. When the transient enters Babel, he finds himself in a walking space completely surrounded by water. This space consists of a boulevard which leads to an octagonal square. The tower rises at the center of this square, helicoidal and infinite in height, which reproduces the structure of DNA. The boulevard is full of perched parrots of 13 different species. Each one shows a unique behavior and sound. The transient must choose one to accompany him in his ascent. Only accompanied by a parrot will the transient be allowed to penetrate the interior of the tower. To choose a parrot, he must approach it and press a button when it screams. A decompression segment prepares the transient to penetrate the tower. The only way to go is upwards. Babble is ascension. The parrot chosen as trip companion is the main reference for the transient of Babel. It always precedes him. The parrot is the measure of all objects. It moves or stands still in relation to the progress or immobility of the transient. It moves step by step on the railing that runs along the interior of the tower. Throughout his ascent, the transient encounters a series of stained glass windows on his left. Babble is light. Every time the transient, preceded by his parrot, enters the field of view of a stained glass window, a message associated to the window is heard. Each new window turns on the playing of its sonorous message. Babble is confusion. The first transient to enter the tower will already find 169 stained glass windows, previously generated by the artificers of Babel. Babel is tradition. Babel's tradition has been introduced by its artificers by producing several distortions on 13 vase stained glass windows, each of which contains the image of one of the 13 parrots. The windows are not textures. They have been modeled in 3D by vectorizing the image of each parrot into polygons. A distorted window is obtained from a base window and an oral message with a limited duration of 13 seconds. The samples of the oral message serve as a chain of parameters, which, conveniently rescaled, are used as a deviation for each of the components of the vertices and the components of the color of every polygon. In the same manner, Babel's tradition is increased by the contributions of the transients. The oral intervention of each transient distorts in real time the base stained glass window associated to its parrot. To make his contribution to Babel, the transient must carry out the following steps.
Que duia filobeta, Sant Roc massista, l'oncle bro de la moda. Quin agregat de gats som. Lo got dem-lo en lo xicot que s'ha cruspit lo tu...
Mind the gap, and then just tell me why on earth the messenger has always to pay so...
The new subversion of tradition in the shape of a sonorous stained glass window substitutes the one that occupied the same location. The previous window and message are finally located at the top of the tower, which grows with each new contribution in its arrogant goal of reaching the ultimate sense. Babble is growth. After hearing himself, the transient suddenly starts a free fall from the height he reached to the base of the tower, where everything blackens out. Babble is failure.
The Tower of Babel that Babel proposes will not outlast the myth. A mechanism of virtual self-destruction has been provided, which will cause the collapse of the tower and will delete its computer files without any possibility of recovery. Babel is annihilation. Destruction is activated only when a key message is set by any transient and detected by a voice recognition system incorporated in Babel. Babel is infarct. Babel, as the existence of man, as the existence of art, tends to gradual fragmentation, which is life, and ends in a sudden disappearing, which is death. Babel is allegory.